housing market, again, picks up. People need an inspection like yesterday, and you're kind of on the hook there to communicate with everybody back and forth. How do you deal with that before we get into, some of these big tips that homeowners need to know?
It's really interesting, and people do need things right away. I mean, we had a call. My wife and I were getting ready to head to the movies after just kind of finishing up our last inspection on Saturday, and we get a call. Gosh, we just put a deal together. It's a one-day inspection. We got to have it done tonight. Well, the problem that my wife and I have is
you like movies.
You know what? Yeah, we like movies. No, but really, we want to help people, and when they're feeling distress and stuff like that, so it's just like, well, let's go do it. Let's go help them out and stuff. It's not about making extra money on a Saturday night. It's about helping somebody out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it worked out really, really good. And realtor was extremely grateful because this was his first big transaction. So it was really, really important to him. So it put a big smile on his face. But it's interesting. We talk a little bit about communication. We get people. And we do our reports on site, digital report. We go over the whole thing, answer all their questions. And I am amazed how many phone calls and texts and emails that I get that the questions that they ask are right in the report. It's like right there. If it was a snake, it'd bite you type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think, well, how many times do I call people because I'm too lazy to read,
Right.
And our report has a ton of pictures and some videos and stuff, and so people look through those real quick, and we've all become scanners. We don't hardly know how to read anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting in terms of how much time is truly wasted in terms of communication, in terms of texting and stuff.
It's on page 4. It's bulleted and in bold.
Exactly. Exactly.
It makes it tough. And, as people go through pretty much any transaction or get any service done, I don't think most people do read top to bottom what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And it puts a lot of stress on any type of service provider because in some ways you feel like, well, I've provided the service. Here it is.
Right.
Please look at it.
Right, but then when they text you or call you or something, they expect immediate response, and it's like, well, you know what, I'm with another client right now. I need to give them 100%, and I'm happy to answer your questions. And I always tell people, hey, if you got one quick short question, go ahead and call me pretty much any time of day. But if you want to talk about something, call me in the evening when I'm not with other clients because I've got to give them 100% and stuff. And now that I've been really telling people that a lot, I get a lot more respect in terms of my time or my clients' time.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, I think that a lot of times if you don't answer, people will end up finding that answer for themselves. If you don't answer the phone, some people will all of a sudden turn to page 4, find the bulleted point that is bolded for them, and now they've found it. And so there's kind of this strange flow of information when or people seem to find things pretty quickly when the answer isn't readily available via text or phone.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Very true.
Well, Jim, going through inspections, you must find a lot of different factors in a house that scare people. And besides living under power lines, I think that mold tends to be one of the things that just scares people.
I get a lot of people asking about mold, a lot of people having new babies and those kinds of things, and congratulations, a couple days up and coming here.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's a good way to get my mind thinking about something else than inspections, but sure.
There we go. So no pressure there, Ben.
Yeah.
So anyway, molds are, no question, a big, big topic of today. And in the Northwest, I'm amazed how many people move into the Northwest from a drier climate like Phoenix or something like that. And the first questions they have, well, everybody tells me I need to be really concerned about molds up here. And, molds are a conducive condition of kind of wet, damp spaces, okay, which, of course, the Northwest has plenty of. But mold grows ideally in a temperature range of kind of 40 to 100 degrees. And where are the temperatures of houses? They're always kind of kept in that 40 to 80 degree range typically. So we have a great environment for growing molds inside of houses, and all houses. It doesn't matter where you're at. When you see molds, and most people just absolutely freak out when they see mold. They pull their bed out away from the wall. And all of a sudden they've got mold back there, and they're going, well, gosh, what's going on? And, what kind of damages do we have and stuff? Typically, if you have mold on a surface, like in a bathroom, in the grout, and those kinds of things, I mean, you can always test it real easily to see if it's kind of a mildew or mold by just taking a little bit of bleach and dabbing it on there. And if it lightens, then it's definitely a mildew, mold type situation. If it doesn't, it's probably just dirt. Okay, so we get a lot of those kinds of situations outside, on decks and on siding and that kind of stuff. So that stuff can be cleaned up pretty easily. It also kind of propagates itself from lack of ventilation. So if you pull out a lot of things from underneath your kitchen cabinet, as an example, oftentimes there's mold on the drywall back there because we just haven't had any ventilation, and just kind of creates that conducive condition.
So as people find it, I mean, if you do find mold, whether you're moving your bed around or furniture,
run like hell, Ben.
Run. Just get out, right?
Get out of there fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's what it feels like, though. And then, I mean, it feels as if people should freak out. It's a 4-letter word, Jim.
Wow. Hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
It is a 4-letter word. Okay. All right.
Mold. M-O-L-D.
M-O-L-D, yes, exactly. When we have small molds, okay, a little small area, nothing to really be concerned about. But if you walk into, and of course we're seeing it a lot now with the short sales and houses that have been vacant and stuff, you walk into the place and you just smell that musty molds and going on. And that's very, very possible. When you find big infestations, when it's into the carpets and those kinds of things, I'm going to cover a couple of ways that you can actually kind of take care of those things yourself. But I think for most people, you're best off to just call a professional and have them get rid of it, okay?
Which you are not the mold man.
I am not the mold man,
Yeah.
but actually, if I'm doing a home inspection, if people have concerns about it, we do air sampling, of course, for additional charge, but it'll actually tell you if you got active growing mold inside of the walls and stuff, too, which, because it's a good couple-hour test.
So what do people do? You find mold, what are the options here?
Well, the options are to try and clean it up yourself, okay? And easy way to clean it up really is just a small dose of bleach, okay? Generally a 1 to 8 water and bleach mix, and kind of spray it on there and wipe her up. And give it maybe 2 tries. If it doesn't clean up there, let's say we got drywall. You might have to, and you notice the drywall is soft. Well, you're going to have to cut the drywall out, okay? Don't be concerned about cutting into the drywall because you're going to have to replace it anyway. So just cut into it and see what's going on a little bit. And if there's a huge infestation in there, might be time to call a professional. Now, if you want to get into it and fixing it yourself, you need to make sure you get a proper respirator. You need to get proper clothing and gloves and shoes and things that you can actually just throw away when you're done. Okay, but rot will start to happen from molds. Okay. And so if you find structural issues, again, you might consider calling an expert, but you can take care of things yourself.
I mean, that's probably another reason it may seem scary. You think you got a little bit of mold, and you get behind the wall, and now you have structural issues.
Yeah, structural issues definitely can scare most people.
I would imagine,
and
especially if it's next to your bed, and you're thinking the roof could fall on you.
Well, you just keep cutting that drywall back. But as you're cutting things, or let's say you're pulling out carpet, those kinds of things, you want to make sure that you're wetting things down. Maybe get one of those garden sprayers type of thing and just spray it with water as you're kind of going through it to keep the spores down. We don't want to spread the spores throughout the house because the spores they're in the air all the time. But if we've got a big infestation, especially anything that possibly is toxic, we definitely don't want to get those flowing through the house.
Sure. Jim Estrada joins us. Jim, we just have about a minute left before we have to go to break. What are some other big pieces of this mold puzzle that people need to be thinking about?
You know, the biggest problem thing is how do you prevent it? Okay, so we want to make sure that we have proper ventilation in the house, have your fans going in the bathrooms, and a lot of people don't leave their fans going long enough. Let them go for a good 10, 15 minutes after you've showered. You want to check around your house and see if we've got any kind of water leaking into the crawl space, if we have drainage issues, kind of normal maintenance type stuff.
Sure.
If you get a leaky roof, guess what? It's going to start growing in the sheathing, okay? If we've got a lot of moisture in the house, we're going to get moisture on the sheathing again, too, because hot air and steam rise, and they'll end up causing lots of issues up in the attic.